Hello and welcome to this overview of Crowdoscope. I'm Michael Silverman, and the aim of this session is to provide you with a high-level overview of the Crowdoscope collective intelligence system. So I'm going to be talking about three things. First of all, why we built Crowdoscope in the first place. Secondly, how it works and some of the outputs that you can get. And then thirdly, we'll touch on how different organisations are using Crowdoscope to address a variety of business challenges. So Crowdoscope is a hybrid survey and discussion tool, and hybrid in the sense that it combines both qualitative and quantitative input. And it's been designed to capture social collective intelligence, which is a form of insight that only emerges when groups of people are interacting. So Crowdoscope has emerged from over 5 years of research into opinion visualization and data visualization as a user interface. We've also taken a keen interest in advanced social technologies and text analysis, and we've also been looking at self-organizing systems, so systems which are able to impose order on local interactions which can be a bit disordered. And we're lucky enough now to have a number of clients using Crowdoscope, which is fantastic. So looking at the reasons as to why we built Crowdoscope in the first place, there's two main reasons. One is to do with problems with traditional surveys, and the other is to do with problems in traditional online discussions. So there are lots of problems with traditional surveys, but one of the big ones is that you can't get any social collective intelligence from a traditional survey. So when we talk about social collective intelligence, we mean an emergent property which results from networks of people and computers acting together to combine their knowledge and insights. The focus here is on interaction. And if you look at this diagram on the left here, this represents a traditional survey where there's just people giving feedback in isolation. There's no interaction between participants. And you contrast that with the diagram here on the right, which represents a system which is able to collect social collective intelligence. It's not only looking at the attribute data that comes from participants, it's also looking at relational data in terms of how participants read and evaluate each other's comments, ideas, and suggestions. Now, the other problem I mentioned was to do with online discussions, and the fact here is that list-based discussions don't scale well to large groups of people. So it's okay if you have 20 or 30 people. Well, once you're starting to get to hundreds or thousands of people, it's just information overload. Not everyone has an equal chance of being heard. So there are obviously lots of problems with traditional list-based discussions, and you find these all over the internet, whether it's on a news site or Facebook, or just in your company intranet. So let's look at how Crowdoscope works. So Crowdoscope displays the conversation as an interactive visualization, and this overcomes the problem of the scalability of list-based discussions. So what you're looking at here is a visualization of the results of a multiple choice question, which in this case is what is your age group? So each of these grey circles represents a response option and the percentage of participants that have selected that particular option. And each of these blue circles represents a participant's comment, and the size of each blue circle represents how the rest of the community is rating that particular comment. So there are 3 steps in Crowdoscope. The first one is to answer 2 simple questions, one of which is a multiple choice question, which we call the grouping question, because this determines the groupings in the subsequent steps. And every Crowdoscope is based around one open-ended question, which in this case is, what do you think is the most important factor in leading a happy life? So everyone is going to provide a response to this question, and this is the question to which people will be reading and rating other people's responses. Now in step 2, there's a couple of things that are happening. First of all, it's going to display to the participant the results of the grouping question, of the multiple choice question, and it's going to present the participant with a number of comments, which are these blue circles, to rate. And you can control the number of comments that each participant has to rate. So in this project, it's 10 comments. So we're using a zooming user interface, and the idea here is that the participant clicks on each of these comments, reads that participant's response to the discussion question, and rates it using these 2 evaluation criteria. And I'll say a little bit more about those as we go through. But this was what I'm talking about in practical terms when I say social collective intelligence. It's people's evaluation of other people's comments and ideas. And then in step 3, participants are going to receive a control panel, which you can see here on the left, which is going to help them to navigate this conversation in a bit more detail. So here's a video of how it works from the participant's perspective. The participant clicks on the link, fills in the grouping question, writes a comment in response to the discussion question. That's the end of step 1. And you can ask additional multiple choice questions, for example, if you have demographics or other Likert scale questions you want to ask. So here we are in step 2. In this project, we're just displaying 3 comments to each participant. And the idea here is that the participant reads the comment and then rates it using these 2 evaluation criteria. Now we're trying to be a bit more sophisticated than just a simple like or an upvote button, because the problem with that is that you don't know what evaluation criteria people are using. So we're using a slider scale so we can be very accurate in terms of how we measure people's ratings of particular comments. You can put your email in here if a participant wants to receive a unique link which will enable them to go back in to the discussion, see how their comment is being rated and see how discussions are progressing. Once you reach step 3, you're able to reply to comments, and you can also see the replies that other people have made. This is my comment. I obviously don't have any replies yet as I've just written it. We show the top rated comments, which is an automated output. We have these automated tags so participants can read about topics that they care about, and people can keep track of the conversations that they're involved in and how many ratings they've received in this section here. We also have Crowdoscope on mobile. It just works in the mobile browser, so there's no need to download an app. The only difference here is that obviously with the lower screen size, we start at sampling the comments at a lower level. And here we also have alerts as well. I mean, this is good when you're using Crowdoscope in real time, say an event or a conference. But this is a good example here. You know, I can see on the right hand side here, the comments I've rated 68 comments, 16 people have rated my comment, and I can see how they're rating my comment in terms of those 2 evaluation criteria. So whatever it is that I've said in my comment, people are saying that's a low priority for leading a happy life, and it's kind of middlingly present. Some people feel that they have it, some people don't feel what they have it, but that's great individual feedback for me on my opinions, my comments, my thoughts. Okay, so now let's look at some of the outputs that you can get from Crowdoscope. Now we've designed the system to be very easy to use, and part of the advantage of Crowdoscope is that because we're devolving in a way the text analysis to participants, a lot of the analysis is already done, so we're kind of synthesizing outputs. A lot of the outputs are already automated. So you can download PowerPoints or Excel, and this is an example of an automated PowerPoint report. So you have project background, which tells you the questions that you've asked. We're also looking at the participation metrics, which are more than just a simple response rate, because obviously, you know, we want to know engagement statistics like what's the average number of ratings given or received per person, how many replies have people made, what's the average number of visits that people have made to that particular Crowdoscope. Any survey type questions, split by demographics, you know, that's quite kind of standard stuff. And this is an automated output, which is very simple, but it's very effective. So, you know, here is the top 10 comments from our study. And in fact, one of the automated outputs is all of the comments, no matter if you have 10,000 people, ranked in order of what the community think of them, based on these 2 evaluation criteria, which is represented here as score 1 and score 2. So score 1 is how much of a priority is this for leading a happy life. Score 2, to what extent is this factor present in your life? So, you know, this is a valid way of looking at the results. Even if you have 1,000 comments, I just want to look at the top 10 comments, or I just want to read the top 50 comments. And we can go further than that as well. We can also look at groups of comments together in terms of what they're talking about. So in this bubble chart here, each of these bubbles represents a particular topic or keyword, and the size of the bubble relates to how many people are talking about that. And then on each of these axes, we have the 2 evaluation criteria. So on the vertical axis, to what extent is this factor present in your life? And along the horizontal axis, how much of a priority is this for leading a happy life? So if we look at something like fun, for example, we can see, you know, there's not a huge amount of people talking about this, but this is something which people are obviously saying is very important for leading a happy life. And more important than that, people are saying that this is not something which they typically have a lot of in their life. And we can then zoom down into that particular topic to look at, and we're just showing the top 5 comments here, but we can look at all the comments that people are making about fun, again, ranked in order of what the community thinks of each of them. So at each step, you're not left with a kind of, a question mark about what to do. You can drill down into the results and you can read top comments about each of these themes in terms of suggestions or ideas about what to do. And there's also more sophisticated analysis that you can do, which is a bit like social network analysis. You can look at how groups are rating each other's responses. So in this matrix, for example, I can see here that looking down the left-hand side, those who are 60 or older rate the ideas and comments of people under 29 as an average of 75 out of 100. So this can be very useful when you're looking at different business units or different demographic groups to see how these groups are rating each other's suggestions and ideas. We were very keen when building Crowdoscope to make the system easy to use. So as I mentioned before, it's a self-organizing system, so there's no need for facilitation. You simply set it up and let it go. It's very quick to set up, it's easy to launch and moderate, and we have automated analysis and reporting. So this is the admin panel where you go to set up projects, and you can see how little there is in terms of actually setting up a project, title, customize the link that you want. We have the grouping question, the open-ended discussion question, and some other settings, and the evaluation criteria. So this is actually very quick to set these up and get them out. And then at the other end, this is the analysis and reporting module within Crowdoscope, where you can filter various reports. We have the grouping question data. You can analyze the discussion question data and see which are the top comments, etc. And we also have here the group rating matrices. But the best thing here is you're able to export reports into PowerPoint or Excel, which are just going to be ready to present straight off the bat. Okay, finally, so let's just look at how organisations are using Crowdoscope, and it's been fascinating to see the variety of purposes for which organisations have been employing Crowdoscope. For surveys, for group discussions and focus groups, brainstorming and innovation, at conferences and events where you can do this in real time, and it takes 5 or 10 minutes, and it can be much more sophisticated than a lot of the kind of very basic conference polling tools that are out there at the moment. It's very popular for action planning in response to big surveys, for predictions and forecasting, and people are also using it for personal feedback, like a very kind of open and transparent 360-degree feedback exercise. And in terms of examples, I mean, there are lots of examples. Obviously, Crowdoscope is just a research tool, and you can ask any question that you like. And we're very happy to talk to people through relevant case examples, but here's just a selection of Crowdoscopes that we've been doing recently. And the final thing that I wanted to say was about working with us. I mean, we're very keen, obviously, to get companies using Crowdoscope. We offer excellent service and support. People can access Crowdoscope through a self-service annual license. We offer training and workshops. We've got a lot of support materials and videos and training manuals, etc. And we're also able to offer managed projects and consultancy as well. And that's really all that I had to say. If you have any questions, feel free to get in touch with us. We'd be happy to hear from you. And you can email us at hello@crowdoscope.com. And thanks very much for listening.